I'm Riley,
And I'm Ronnie,
and this is the Plan to Eat podcast.
where we have conversations about meal planning, food, and wellness to help you answer the question, what's for dinner?
Hello, and welcome to the Plan to Eat podcast. Today, Ronnie and I are talking about something I don't really like to talk about, but that happens to me all the time. Why your meal plan fails and what you can do about it. I hate when my meal plan fails. I really hate it, but it happens. It happens to all of us. There's many reasons why this is gonna why this might happen to you. I know why it happens to me. Sometimes it's flat up. Sometimes it's straight up energy, right? Like I'm just like, oh, I don't even want to make it. Can we just get pizza?
Yeah.
And that's not always a fail, but sometimes, in my opinion, at my house, it is a fail because I did the thing I didn't want to do, which was double buy dinner because I've already paid for those ingredients, and then here I am buying dinner.
Well, I think whether you're a consistent meal planner or an inconsistent meal planner, you've had your meal plan fail before.
Yeah.
So, today we just want to talk about the reasons why, but we also want to give you solutions so that
Absolutely,
if one of these is very specifically your problem is like number 3, then we're going to give you solutions to try and resolve why your meal plan is failing.
Yeah. So problem number 1 might be too obvious, but problem number 1 is if you do not plan.
Yeah.
That is why your meal plan fails.
Yeah, as we talk about all the time,
Yeah.
not planning is also technically a form of meal planning because you still got to get food on the table for people. So you're thinking about it in the moment. You're still planning. You're just doing it in the moment rather than ahead of time. And winging it is so stressful. That is a very stressful form of planning. It's a big reason why you might feel like you're not a good meal planner.
Mm-hmm. And winging it can look like going in the grocery store and just like hoping that it speaks to you and tells you what to make. And it might. You might see something that's on sale or an ingredient that you like, but chances are you're going to forget an ingredient.
Right.
Unless you're buying a pre-cooked meal or a freezer, something frozen in the freezer section. I can't tell you how many times I go into the grocery store where I've been like, oh, I'm going to make that. And then I buy 3/4 of the ingredients. I'm like, how did I forget? The name of the recipe is chicken and beans. And I forgot the beans? Like,
right.
Yeah. Or maybe you think you have it at home and you have this expectation that you've already got that ingredient. I mean, winging it is bad on many fronts, but it can just lead to frustration and just make the meal planning process even more non-enjoyable.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it feels like you're kind of planning, but then you're not, and it just is frustrating.
I would say this happens to me when my meal plan has like run out, a meal plan for 5 days. Well, okay. We've talked about this before. I meal plan for a 7-day week, but I might only plan 4 or 5 meals. And if those meals run out before the 7 days is up and I have to wing it before the next time I'm going to go to the grocery store, that feels bad.
It can feel bad. Yeah. It can feel like you're almost like you're failing. Like, oh, what am I going to cook these people? And probably you're the only one that cares. Like we've talked about this recently, but just like there's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
When you're the person who feeds everyone. And I really want everyone to be very happy with their meals. And when they're not, it's a real letdown.
And I want people to have like a well-rounded meal. My husband would be happy with frozen pizza, but I feel like, don't we need something else?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where's the vegetable?
Where's the fiber? We're not got no fiber here.
Exactly. On the polar opposite end from problem number 1, which is no plan, is over planning. So problem number 2 is you planned too rigidly and you have no flexibility in your meal plan. This is why one of our most utilized tip, the tip that you and I share so often, is start small.
Yep.
Do not plan 3 meals a day for 7 days and lock yourself in. That does not allow for flexibility. It doesn't allow for things to come up in your week and make you pivot. And with flexibility and freedom, you cannot pivot in that way. And so you need to make sure you're making a meal plan where there's room for low energy nights, room for cravings, room for leftovers, room for just a total change of plans. Maybe somebody invited you to a potluck. So planning too rigidly can be another problem, just like not planning at all.
Absolutely. Part of also planning too rigidly is this, you lock yourself in with all these recipes and something changes, an event gets added to your week,
Yeah.
and the meal that all of the meals that you have planned are hour-long dinners. It takes you an hour to cook them before they get on the table. And so also including some quicker meals, including a 15-minute dinner or something that can go in the air fryer really quickly. Every week needs a little bit of those low effort recipes. Even if you're somebody who loves to cook and you love being in the kitchen, like sprinkling in some low effort recipes adds to that flexibility, because then you don't have to be like, okay, well, it is frozen pizza because we have no other options this week for switching recipes around.
And it might not be that your schedule even causes you to have an issue. It might just be that you need to give yourself a break.
Absolutely.
I made a meal a couple of weeks ago that it literally I could have made it with one hand. I mentioned it on the podcast, and I said you dump everything into the pan and you put it into the oven, and like that. I just needed that. I just needed a really simple dinner that I made that included all the things I wanted it to include,
Right.
fiber and greens and all those kinds of things, protein, but it didn't take any time at all, and I still put a meal on the table I was proud of. And so it's not that. It might not even be that your life gets crazy. It might just be that you just need to give yourself a break as the person who cooks, as the primary cook.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Problem number 3 is you didn't look at your schedule when you made your meal plan. So you didn't plan around the events that you have going on every week. This is a really important one. I think that this is the basis for most people when they get started meal planning. However, it can get lost in translation sometimes, because if you're not planning around your real schedule and you're planning around like, I really hope this week, I'll have time to make this fancy beef Wellington, as we always reference.
We do. Have we ever made one? I've never made one.
No, I've been served one at a friend's house, but I've never made it myself. So there's just an aspect of like, even when you're looking at your schedule, sometimes it's easy to still plan for like kind of an ideal version of your week rather than what your real week looks like. And this includes things like knowing the nights that you're going to have low energy because you have a crazy amount of things going on that day, or just like, you're going to be getting off of work late, your kids' practice is going to get done late, whatever the things are. And just being realistic about it. And we talk about this a lot of the time too, working backwards from things. So if you think, well, the kids are going to get done with their practice at 7:00, do we want to be eating at 8:30? Probably not. So like, how can I work backwards from that to make sure that we can like get home and immediately eat dinner, or eat dinner before practice, whatever it works out to be for your family. But looking at your real schedule, I think, is actually key to this.
Yeah. And this one's such a big one because this is why your meal plan will fail. And it's a pretty painful fail if you don't do this. So maybe you are new to meal planning and you don't create your meal plan around your real schedule. It's going to feel like meal planning was the problem. It's going to feel like, oh, well, maybe meal planning really isn't the key to making this easier. It is, but there are these big things that you can do to make it easier. And one of them is this one, is just you've got to look at your schedule. What types of events consistently derail your dinner? Okay, my kids all lose their mind at 5 p.m. when I'm making dinner. Okay, what can we do instead? Or what can we make faster? Or do we need to buy pre-chopped vegetables? Or, or do we need to make dinner earlier in the day and just put it in the oven, at that time? What is constantly derailing your dinner? And then work backwards from that too. Yeah,
I like that. What constantly derails dinner at your house, Riley? Or maybe not constantly, but what is something that might derail dinner at your house?
Well, the thing that derails dinner at my house, because I do plan around our schedule, is typically not an event, but more that people at my house aren't really interested in eating something. Like, oh, we're going to have that tonight? Could we not? Could we have this? Yeah, sure. Okay. So we derail. We switch the meal plan around a little bit. Sometimes, because we live a really long way from town, sometimes the thing that derails dinner is a delay in town. Yeah. And we're not going to get home in time to make dinner. And so we end up picking something up or pivoting to a faster meal. So it's not really, that's not a consistent derail. It's just things that kind of come up sometimes.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think mine's that second one mostly, is like, if I don't get home from something in time, then we're eating dinner at like 8:30.
Yeah.
Which is
Well, and
fine
yeah.
because it's just the two of us. Like I'm not right. Like I'm not feeding kids who like need to be in bed at a certain time, but it's still not ideal. Like I don't want to be eating and then going to bed a half an hour later.
Mhm. I was
Uh,
gonna say the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, the kids make a difference, but I also would not like to eat at that time. I'd be too
yeah,
hungry and too late, and yeah.
yeah. Sometimes my husband will like work late, and so that's something that can derail dinner. Like I won't realize that he's working late, or like he'll say he's working late, and I'm thinking like he's gonna be a half an hour late, and then he's like an hour and a half late, and so like dinner is then sitting there like ready to eat, but I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes that gets a little tricky.
Problem number 4 is you did not include your family in the process, which is a little bit of what I just touched on with I said that sometimes it's the thing that derails us is that people aren't really interested in what I'm cooking that night. Now, what I do not like delete that meal from the meal plan, but I'd say, okay, we can have this tonight and we'll have that tomorrow. But if I didn't include them in the process to begin with, then they might be some frustrations. But we love polling the family audience. We think this is a big tip. Ask people. It came up so often. We did the dinner dilemmas earlier this year that there were so many people with so many preferences and so many needs, and the person who was the primary cook and the planner was feeling so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And over again, you and I consistently said you've got to ask other people. You have to bring them into the process. With adult family members, it's helpful because then they have some buy-in. Like, oh, well, I suggested this meal. Maybe that means they help cook it. Maybe that's the meal they cook all together that night. And with littles, it can also create some buy-in on the food in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what my kids would suggest. My kids actually love Brussels sprouts, which is a big surprise, but they do love them. And if they suggest eating them for dinner, then I'm definitely going to add that to the meal plan. But they like to see it. Like they like to be heard, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this and we're having this. Now my daughter suggests smash burger tacos every single week, and we do not do that. But when we have them, it makes her so excited. And it's just nice when there's no pushback, less complaints, and everyone's a part of the menu.
Right. But I think that that's an important thing to circle back on is that you said your daughter always wants a specific thing, but you don't always put it on the meal plan.
Mhm.
So while it is really important to include your family in the process, I
Mhm.
think particularly when you are still in a phase of having smaller children in your household, just because they have suggestions doesn't mean that they have to be the ones like in control of the menu, right? You're still the adult and you get to decide like, I don't want to eat smash burger tacos every single night.
Yeah, because I don't.
Yeah.
But although I will say you have given me some ideas, like the chicken Caesar one.
Oh yeah.
That's the one y'all always eat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I could add it to the meal plan. It just won't be exactly the way she wanted it.
I think that I've seen enough versions of the smash burger at this point that you could probably have a different one every night of the week.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day that was like bao bun inspired. And so it was
Yes.
like, yeah.
Yeah. I saw that one. I think I saw that one. It was like an Asian inspired one for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
It
exactly.
was like
yeah.
pork instead of chicken or
Uh-huh.
beef and then like an Asian slaw. Looked
Mhm.
great.
It did look good.
But I like those kind of flavors. So
Yeah, I do too. All right, problem number
problem.
Problem number 5 is that you're trying to use a meal plan that was made by somebody else, but doesn't really work for your family's needs. So this is if you follow people on social media, whether they're an influencer or a blogger, any of those things, and they have meal plans. This is a really common thing for recipe authors to do is they're like, here's your 5-day meal plan, which I think is great on the one hand, like inspiring people to create meal plans. And obviously, like they're trying to inspire people to make the recipes that they've created. However, that doesn't mean that that meal plan is going to work for your family situation for the entire week. Like you could take some inspiration from their meal plan, but I don't think you need to make it your whole meal plan.
One of the reasons for me why I don't like that is because I very rarely plan a meal plan that includes a bunch of new recipes.
Totally.
And this is actually another reason why meal plans fail. If you are planning 5 recipes you've never made before, I don't care if it says it's 30 minutes. I don't care. I don't really, when you make a new recipe, it almost always takes you longer the first time. And so when you're using someone else's meal plan with recipes you've never made, it can just like create more stress and tension around the meal plan because like okay, hold on. What does the recipe say? Oh, I've got to do that first. I should have been boiling water this entire time. Like,
Right.
like whatever it is, overly complicated. Maybe it's ingredients you don't normally purchase, so it could be more expensive, a more expensive meal plan. Or maybe your family has a dietary need and you're having to pivot the entire thing every time,
Yeah.
which is doable, but also just like maybe just do something different.
Yeah.
Do something that already works for you. I like what you said. Use it for inspiration, and maybe a piece of it is a building block for your own meal plan. But using somebody else's meal plans usually don't work for your life because it's not bringing in your schedule, your needs, and it might be planning for an ideal version of your life, but not really the life you're living that week.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't mean to call anybody out by name, but I'm going to do it anyways. I love Half Baked Harvest recipes. She makes beautiful recipes. Like she does a great job. They're so beautiful. The recipes that I've made from her, they do taste really good. I think she's a really good recipe creator. However, all of her recipes have like 27 different ingredients in them. And she's one of those people who's like, here's a meal plan for the week or whatever. And each recipe is like a different flavor profile. So each one has like 20 different seasonings that you need for the recipe. And so to me, when I look at it, I'm like, that's so unrealistic for the average person to make all of these recipes that are all so different during the week, and maybe totally different ingredients that they just don't have as like staples in their house to make all of these different flavors. So sorry to call Tegan out, but we don't know her. So
yeah, I would say for people who are very new to meal planning, this can be a springboard, right? Like, okay, we've got all these recipes. I'm going to try this. I think the deeper you get into meal planning, the less you need the crutch of a like meal plan for somebody else's meal plan. But Ronnie and I also, just scrolling social media for ideas is also a really great way to get some building block recipes. And when I say building block, I'm thinking like I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see this that Boursin orzo chicken bake. I referenced it a couple of weeks ago. And while I was like, wow, that looks really good, really simple, I added it to my meal plan and then I made it. And now it will be a repeater because it was so easy.
Yeah.
But you could build your entire meal plan based on social media. And it doesn't have to be that you're actually using the exact recipe. It's just, oh, wow, that person's fish tacos look great. We like fish tacos. I'll add my fish taco recipe to my meal plan.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of picking and choosing the inspiration versus the actual recipe, like using somebody else's recipe. It can be really helpful, but somebody else's meal plan almost always is not going to work exactly the way you want it to.
Right. Yeah. The thing that I do really appreciate about it is just even talking about meal plans in the first place, because I do think that there are a lot of people who look at, food on Instagram, food on TikTok and stuff, and they're not even realizing that meal planning is a thing that people do, right? I was in a stage of my life where I didn't even realize that meal planning was a thing that people did. And so I do love, right? Like, here's a meal plan for the week. So that people are like, oh, a meal plan? Oh, people do that?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it has to be your meal plan.
Yes. This is that thing we've talked about before. It's like take ownership, like take like authority. Like sometimes people just need permission, like to make something their own. And I know that there have been many times in my life where I just needed permission to do something because I didn't know I could just do it. I needed to be told I could do it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use somebody else's meal plan. You can make your own, and you can make it exactly what you want it to be with whatever things you want it to be.
So true. All right. Problem number 6 is that you don't have a recovery plan for your meal plan, which is what I'm considering like backup meals, right? So if you create a meal plan and things go sideways, it is really important to have a backup plan, some pantry staple meals, stuff that we've talked about in previous podcasts. I think this is really important to being able to be like, I'm still a successful meal planner.
I love this one. Well, I don't love that it's a problem, but you and I love the backup meal.
Yeah.
We've called this a lot of things. I think recovery meal is going to be the thing that sticks, though. I like recovery
meal. Yeah.
I typically call it a pantry meal.
Yeah.
So if you've heard us talking about this before, that's what we're talking about. If you're not familiar, this is where you've got all the ingredients at your disposal. They just are there and they wait. They live in
Right.
your pantry. They might get used for something else. They, like it might be that you have to pull something out of your freezer to go with it. Maybe it's a freezer meal that you literally froze for a rainy day, but it's just there. It's ready. It's very simple. It's something you know how to make. It's just for me, white chicken chili is one that I always have the ingredients for. Now that it's summertime, it's not the ideal meal, but all winter long, I have all the ingredients to make white chicken chili. And if I have a day where I'm like, I don't know what we're going to do, this day's crazy, I'll throw it on the crock pot in the morning and then I don't have to think about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a recovery meal is, or a backup meal, something, whatever you want to call it. That's what that is.
Yeah. I mean, a really simple example that you give a lot, Riley, is like just having breakfast for dinner.
Yes.
Because we almost always have breakfast staples at home. So it is easy to be like, look, we're just having like some eggs and avocado toast or, whatever you like to have for breakfast, and just have that as your dinner plan when your, schedule changes and all the other things. So you mentioned white chicken chili. I think one of my fallback meals is, well, I talked about it before on the podcast quite a bit. It's like a beans on toast recipe. We always have cans of beans at home, and we'll always have bread, so it's just like a really easy meal that comes together.
When do you use that? Like, give somebody an example for when you use a backup meal at your house.
I mean, tonight's probably a night that I'm going to use it as a backup meal.
Love it.
Everybody has heard us talk about the way that we meal plan. So I plan, in week increments, but I don't plan every single night of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have any additional events that come up during the week, or if none of the recipes that we make have leftovers, there's at least one night of the week that I'm like, we got to figure out what to do tonight,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have another recipe on the meal plan and I'm not going to the grocery store today. So tonight is kind of one of those nights where I'm like, we have one serving of leftovers from a different recipe. Like, it's not enough for both of us. And so I think I'm doing a backup meal tonight because I'm not going to the grocery store after work today.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, sometimes if I forget to thaw meat, this will be a reason.
Absolutely, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll use a backup meal exactly the same way as you. Okay, I haven't gotten to the grocery store yet. Or sometimes it's just that whatever I've planned is too complicated for my energy level.
Yeah.
It's nothing really came up, but just like the day got crazy, or I worked too late, or had a late meeting, or whatever the thing is, and I just need to put something together fast that I don't have to think that hard about. I think that's a key about the backup meal, is like, don't overcomplicate that. Like, make that the simplest meal. Everyone will enjoy it. Everyone will eat it, but it is just very basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to like look at the recipe 65 times to make it. Doesn't have 30 spices in it.
Okay, so some additional solutions. These are not necessarily problem with a solution related to it, but just like solutions that you could be thinking about if you feel like your meal plans are consistently failing. And I think a big one is to check in with your plan on a regular basis. I'm thinking of this as what I'm calling meal plan maintenance.
I like that.
Which is like, meal planning doesn't have to be a set it and forget it task, right? When you do your meal plan at the beginning of the week, I hope that during the week you're checking in with your meal plan and you're saying, does the recipe that we have planned tonight even sound good? Did something come up and we need to move something around in the meal plan? Did somebody
What do I need to thaw?
What do I need to thaw? Did somebody eat all the avocados and now we can't have guacamole? Or like, did the last 2 meals make a ton of leftovers and we need to like move our leftovers night up, because otherwise our fridge is going to be way too full of food. That happens at our house quite a bit, actually.
It happens at our house too. Where I'm like, oh man, there was too much of this. We've got to eat it as leftovers. I'm not cooking again. We've got to eat this before it goes bad.
Yeah.
Checking in with your meal plan regularly is something that I do a lot. I tend to be a Sunday night meal planner. I've had to pivot that a little bit. I've been planning on Wednesday nights now, shopping on Thursdays, but I do love a Sunday, like I'm a Sunday sit down, look at the week kind of gal.
Yeah.
And I honestly look at my calendar every morning. Okay,
right.
what's the day? I put my meal plan on my paper calendar. So like I've got it in Plan D, but I've got it on a paper calendar and I just write the title, like, oh, what's dinner? And that helps me quite a bit with the freezer situation. Like if there's something that needs to thaw, I'll remember. And it helps me also say, like, do we want this? Is this like almost exactly the same thing as what we're having tomorrow night? Okay,
Yeah,
what can we do to pivot this? I don't know if you've ever done that, but I've planned
totally.
things that have really similar flavors the next night. And that's kind of annoying
Yeah.
when I do that. Sometimes it's because of suggestions and I just take the suggestions and I don't realize that it's back to back, very similar. Maybe it's like burritos and then fajitas, something like
Yeah.
that. But so it's just like I have a morning check-in every day and a Sunday check-in where I actually meal plan, or so Wednesday night meal plan. And so that's a really helpful thing that I do.
Yeah. I find that I double plan like tomato-based dishes
Oh, yeah.
often. Like I'm like, ooh, I love this tortellini skillet. And then we'll do something like beans on toast. And they both are like tomato-based sauces. And my husband will be like, so we just had tomatoes with tortellini and tomatoes with beans.
Yeah, that's funny.
So the important thing to remember though is if your plan starts to fall apart, you know, after Tuesday or midweek, you don't have to like throw out the whole plan and just decide we're going to get takeout the rest of the week. Like it's best to try and rework the meal plan that you have to make it fit whatever is happening the rest of the week. But it's not like the cause is lost at the, come Wednesday just because we haven't stuck to the meal plan so far. So if you need to swap meals around, make sure you're doing that. If you need to look at your recipes and think like, we just need things to be simpler, just simplify some recipes. Don't put in 30 spices.
Yeah. So ways that like we've practically done this, let's give some examples because I think that'd be really helpful for people. I have pivoted on meal plans before by actually just making the entire meal when I had time and freezing it, if it's a freezer appropriate meal.
Right.
If I'm realizing that like my ingredients are going bad, like, oh shoot, the lettuce that I bought is very wilty. We're having that tonight instead. This helps you reduce that waste, which is totally why a meal plan would fall apart because we can't eat this. It's bad. Okay, we got to do something different. And so kind of keeping an eye on ingredients or reworking it by saying we're going to have this tonight and that tomorrow night, or instead of having tacos, we're going to have taco salad.
Right.
Because we aren't going to make it, this lettuce won't make it past today or whatever the thing is that's failing your meal plan. Can you think of any other ways that like your meal plan would fall apart where you can pivot quickly? Well, have you ever taken ingredients and turned it into a totally different recipe?
Yeah, I have actually done that. And I think the most recent time that it happened was like we had ramen planned and then it turned out to be like a 75-degree day. And I was like, my husband is not going to want to eat ramen today because that's like soup,
Yeah.
But so I have this other recipe for like a cold noodle salad that uses the same ramen noodles. And I was able to just basically like pivot it to be like, we're not doing warm noodles anymore. We're doing cold noodles. So yeah, I've definitely done that. And I think another way that I will often like make a change in a meal plan midweek is by freezing things. And I'm specifically thinking of vegetables. Like if I have vegetables that are starting to go bad, I will just like chop them or prep them, whatever, and put them in the freezer because it feels better than throwing them away. It probably means that the way that I use them next is not going to be the same, but at least they're going to get used. So like I've had this happen with asparagus before where I bought asparagus and it was in the refrigerator and you like pull it out and you're like, ooh, a couple of these are starting to look slimy. And like, it's like maybe I was just going to like put the asparagus in the air fryer and we were going to have asparagus as a side dish. And so instead it's like, okay, well, I'll like blanch it or something and then chop it up and put it in the freezer. And so like the next time I use it, it's going to be in like a skillet or like something that's like cooked instead. But at least I didn't waste that ingredient completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great examples. The ramen hot to cold is perfect. That's a really good one. Yeah, I'll do the same thing. I have a butter chicken recipe and I was planning to cook it, but I need to borrow an Instant Pot. I'm going to make a big batch of it and freeze it, but I need to borrow an Instant Pot. But I've already got the vegetables. So I'm just going to cook. I'm just going to chop them and freeze them because it won't make a difference once it's in the air. It won't make a difference.
Not the air fryer.
No. It will make a difference once it's in the Instant Pot because
Yeah.
it'll all cook the same. If your meal plan keeps failing, like, don't assume that you need more discipline to muscle through it harder. You probably just need a better system. So
Yeah.
take a real look and say, okay, what failed? What didn't work? Where are your problem areas? And try to make small changes that over time will make your system work so much better for you.
Yeah. Hopefully some of our solutions today are helpful and help you think about maybe how you can adjust your plans, adjust your planning methods even in order to continue to be successful with your meal plans. Because, it's ended up being a pretty consistent theme so far this year unintentionally, but, like food waste is so disappointing. And I think that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons why we hate it when our meal plans fail is because it often means that we're wasting more food. So it's okay if things don't always work out, but like just remember that it doesn't mean that all is lost.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it doesn't surprise me that that has been a common theme because things are just expensive and it makes it even more devastating. Like a 20-cent bunch of cilantro going in the trash is not as big of a deal as a $3 bunch of cilantro or, whatever your example might be.
Right.
But this is an important thing. I think everyone's trying to cut costs. So these are ways that actually really do lean into that idea too.
Totally. All right, Riley, talk to us about your meal plan. Give us some inspo.
All right. Upcoming, we're going to do some teriyaki chicken and vegetables. This is a big family favorite at our house. It's pretty simple. Everybody likes it. It's very easy to make. So we're going to do that. I'm going to make white lasagna because I think I've said this before. My family doesn't. The red sauce. My family got beef with red sauce. I don't know what it is. I don't have that same issue, but they do. So I'm trying to attempt a white lasagna.
Is it like an Alfredo?
Yeah, it's essentially Alfredo.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty similar to regular lasagna, just all white. No tomatoes. I'm going to make beef and broccoli, which might be a little similar to that teriyaki. So we need to keep those a little separate. And I think I'm going to make that avocado blueberry quinoa salad that you and I both love so much. It's such a great batch thing to keep in the fridge. Eat all week if you want it for lunches. We'll have it for dinner, and I'll probably have it for leftovers because I love it. And probably serve it with some grilled chicken.
I like it. Well, funnily enough, I'm also making lasagna.
You're making lasagna too? No way.
But I'm doing these like maybe I've talked about it on the podcast before. I know I've told you about it. It's lasagna roll-ups. And so
yeah, you have.
Yeah, and so like you make all the components and then instead of making layers, you roll them all up in each lasagna noodle, which arguably takes longer. Like lasagna is already something that takes a long time and this takes longer, so it's kind of silly, but my husband likes it more than regular lasagna.
Okay,
so
we do what we have to do.
We do what we do. I'm also going to have beef and broccoli stir fry.
Funny.
And then we're going to do a Tuscan chicken recipe, which is like a consistent on the meal plan. And my fave, freeform chicken and meatballs, or freeform chicken meatballs. It's not chicken and meatballs. Freeform chicken meatballs. You make them with roasted carrots and a lemony Greek yogurt sauce. I've been talking about that on the podcast for probably 2 years.
That sounds great.
And well, that wraps us up for today. As always, we appreciate you being here with us and listening. And if you have any tips for failing meal plans, we would love to hear about it. Send us an email at podcast@planteat.com, and we will talk to you again in 2 weeks.